Hi everyone, my group recently played part 3 of the Humblewood adventure called An Urgent Summons. Here's my review and recap of how it went. Let's get into it. Welcome adventurers, this is Kristen's Epic Adventures, and to get more content like this about D&D and RPGs, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when the new videos are posted. Let's talk about the adventure. Our party started out in Alderheart, the big capital tree city, which is where they left off last time. While they're here, they encountered a couple bird folk named Tever and Havel. Now, they are members of the Tenders. And what the Tenders are is an ancient order that are considered kind of wardens of nature. They actually use magic, and they're trying to use their magic to help the forest heal faster. So a lot of them are out near the Scorch Grove area trying to magically help the forest heal from all the burning that's been going on. If your players are interested, there is some more information in the appendix of the book on how they can join the Tenders and the different ranks that they can move up in the Tenders if you want to role play or explore this further in your game. So they run into Tever and Havel in Alderheart. They're kind of in the market area hanging out. And Havel's like up on a crate giving a speech, trying to get people to join the Tenders, to join against the fight, against the fires and heal the wood. Now, they also get a urgent summons, just like part 3 is called, to attend another council meeting. When they get there, they find that Tever and Havel are also there as well. Here's what happens going forward. Now, before the council talks to the party, they actually call Tever forward, and he gives an account of something very large burrowing underground at the Scorch Grove that killed his teacher while he was out there by pulling him down under the ground, under the ash, and he didn't see him again. So the party is actually asked to investigate what's going on out there, what this big creature is, and Tever volunteers to go out there as a guide to show him where this all happened. So they head out to the Scorch Grove with Tever. Now, first thing that happened on their way there was they ran into a cloud of Ember Bats. And I'll show you a picture here of what an Ember Bat is. It's really kind of interesting. It's a bat with like a candle flame on its nose. So our party ended up defeating the Ember Bats. And then as they continued on, they came across what was called a flaming specter. Now, this specter didn't immediately attack them, which actually gave them the opportunity to try to figure out what was going on by some perception checks, some investigation checks, and kind of scouting around the area and watching what the specter's doing, because it wasn't really paying any attention to them. And they were able to determine that the specter was trying to grasp at some flowers, but because he's a flaming specter, he would just kind of pass his arm right through it and kind of singe them a little bit. And he was starting to set things on fire by being in the bushes and stuff. And they were able to do a great job of figuring out what they needed to do in this instance. But you also have to make sure that the specter does not notice the party at all, or it will attack. Now, our party was just so close to actually completing the task that they needed to do for the specter. Well, what they ended up doing was our arcane trickster rogue was using mage hand in front of the specter to move these flowers around. So you had the mage hand and then the specter, and then the rogue behind the specter not being seen because the mage hand can only go so far, and kind of moving the mage hand around and guiding this specter to move where they wanted him to move. So because the rogue was trying to follow behind the specter and not be noticed, he kept having to make stealth checks and failed one of them. Stepped on a twig, it snapped, it cracked too loud. The specter spun around, saw him, and battle ensued. So they were really, really close at actually doing what they needed to do about like the puzzle in a way and figure it out. But they did end up having to fight the specter after all, and it actually resulted in a really great, fun battle. It was a lot of fun. Now, I will tell you that in the Humblewood book, it did suggest that you either use the Ember Bats encounter or the Spectre encounter. Oh, but I was in a combat mood that day, so I actually had the party encounter both of them. Sorry guys if you're watching. Okay, onward. After they defeated the Spectre, they kept traveling, still trying to get closer to the Scorch Grove. And as they got closer, they actually came across a field of geysers that were spouting this hot steam into the air. Now, the party is available to make some investigation checks to see if they could figure out that there was actually a pattern to the steam. And if they paid attention to it, they could actually maneuver their way through the geyser field and not even have to deal with any of the geysers. Our party didn't do so well on those investigation checks, so they actually kind of maneuvered their way through the geyser field and occasionally did take some damage from the steam. Yet another fun puzzle that they kind of incorporated into this adventure, offering lots of different multiple solutions to achieve a solution to a problem. That's not really what I meant to say. I'll find somewhere to cut that. I think it's great that in this adventure they decided to add some things like this. So it's not all combat and role-playing, that you've got some deductive reasoning puzzles going on in here that the group has to like think about and try to figure out, and hopefully the dice go their way. Hey everyone, do me a favor. If you're getting value out of this recap and review, could you go ahead and hit that like button for us? Thanks. Okay, so finally, after Ember Bats, a flaming specter, the Geyser Field, they finally find their way to the edge of the Scorch Grove and start making some perception checks to try to figure out where this creature that Tever saw burrowing under the ground might be located. They did manage to make some successful checks and were able to tell the proximate area that this creature was located in. While they're standing there, it burrowed over towards them, burst up through the ground, and they were being attacked by an ash snake. Now this ash snake was pretty cool. It's a creature unlike I've ever seen in any adventures before. It was actually kind of made out of cooled ash on the outside, but there were cracks in its skin and you could see the molten lava inside. It also had glowing molten lava eyes. Now because it's a snake, it had some really cool attack features and was a pretty tough foe because it could bite like a snake does, but also like a snake, it could grapple a character or a PC, and then it could either constrict or crush them as additional attacks, making it very dangerous. The other thing it could do, just like happened to Tever's teacher, is once grappled, it could dive back down under the ash and drag somebody down with them, requiring them to hold their breath the whole time they're under there or take exhaustion. Now this battle turned out real interesting because the ash snake rolled last on initiative. We've got 4 player characters. We do have Tever, but he's pretty nervous and scared, so he kind of hung back. We didn't want him to, get hurt in any way since he was just being a guide. So it was basically the 4 player characters against this ash snake. But again, the ash snake rolled last. So the characters took such good hits and doing things to this snake that by the time my snake got around to even take his first turn, half his hit points were already gone. Oh, as another attack that my ash snake didn't even get a chance to use was they have an ashen breath weapon, which is a superheated ash in a 15-foot cone that comes out of their mouth. I didn't even get a chance to use that weapon in this fight at all. They did such a good job at taking this snake out. They actually ended up using a spell, and I can't remember what it was called. I believe maybe the hedgehog druid cast it though. And it ended up doing damage to this snake almost every round unless it moved out of the damage zone. And it did a really good job at knocking down this snake even as they took additional blows at it. So now as soon as the ash snake died, as soon as it died, all of a sudden there was a loud rumbling, the earth shaking, and this terrifying creature showed up. Now, our wizard was able to actually make a successful Arcana check and realize that this was a fire aspect. This thing was huge. Another thing filled with molten lava on the inside. It actually described it as seeing it off in the distance, looking like a hill that got bigger, and then a mountain until they could tell it was like a giant thing walking towards them, shaking the ground. And at this point, this foe's out of their league. They had no choice but to flee. So they started making a bunch of random checks just to try to run back into the forest and away from this thing. Now, they did a pretty good job, but there was one PC, Hank the Druid Hedgehog, who kept tripping because he kept making really poor rolls to get out of the way. And this fire aspect actually starts hurling balls of magma at them. And he actually got a little burn and took some fire damage from the balls of magma that landed near him. It was a really tense moment. It was really fun. We were having such a great time, you know, oh my gosh, Hank, get up, hurry up, oh my, and rolling the dice, and oh my gosh, it was a blast. We had such a great time with this, and it was a great way to actually conclude this part of the adventure. The party did make it finally all the way safe back into the forest and all the way back to Alderheart. Now from here, the council wanted to hear what happened. They went back and gave an account to the council of everything that went on. And the members of the council did mention at this point that there might be a dean at the local magic school, which is like kind of like the next settlement over in the other direction to the east, that might know what this creature is and how to defeat it. So that's their next mission at the next part of the adventure that we're going to play. They're going to travel to the Magic College, which sounds so exciting to me. I can't wait for this part, and I'm pretty sure they're pretty excited too. Find the dean at the magic school and kind of figure out what the heck's going on with this giant fire aspect that came at them. They also get awarded a feathered helm, which is a special magic item out of the Humblewood book by Tever at the end for their bravery and their help in all this and defeating the ash snake and everything else. So here's our epic question of the day for you. Are you playing a published adventure right now, or are you playing a homebrewed adventure? Let me know in the comments down below. I'd love to hear from you what kind of game you're playing right now. Make sure you also check out my other Humblewood videos, the unboxing of the adventure set, the videos on all the different playable races that there are, birdfolk versus humblefolk, and part 1 of the adventure that we played the first time we sat down. Now make sure you go out and have an epic adventure. See you next time.